All right, FEG Army, what is going on, my friends? I am pumped about today. Normally I love the weekends, and I'm like, hey, the weekends are good. Went to the beach this weekend, had a good time. I'm like, I'm ready for it to be over so I can jump on with RTRCrypto from FEG. So, man, I hope you guys are doing awesome. I see chats already pouring in. Here's what I want you guys to do: as we get started, jump in and let us know where you're coming in from. Is it here in the States? Is it somewhere else? Give us a hey, a what's up, what you think about FEG, and let us know what you're coming in from. We've got a great interview today. We're going to jump into a whole bunch of things in the FEG ecosystem. I'm really excited about it because one of my challenges is I sometimes myself have a hard time staying up to date with stuff. So we've got the one and only RTR Crypto that's on the line, and he's going to be joining us, and we're going to jump right in. So MT, I see you there coming in from Canada. Vince from Chicago. That is awesome. You guys let us know where you're jumping in from. And so let's get started. RTR, are you there?
Yeah, brother. Can you hear me?
Got you loud and clear. Yes. So first of all, thanks for joining.
Bro, thanks for having me. You have a huge fan base when it comes to the Fed community, and I would be doing a disservice to one of my best friends in the project, AZ, if I didn't say a big hello to you from him directly, because you're the reason that he came into the Fed ecosystem.
No
One
way.
of your original videos, yeah, and he's one of the, one of the most valuable team members we have. Also, all of the voice chat mods are crazy good, and he's been just diehard Feg and working in some family and also working with FEG and doing whatever he can to help support the ecosystem. And that's big thanks to you. So I'd personally like to thank you for bringing such, strong team member to my team to our team with, just the amazing content that you put out. And I apologize about the video content. I'm not home. I'm actually visiting my family. It's my father's birthday today, actually. So, we're going to be doing some things today here at the house, but I don't have my setup with webcam and everything. So I apologize for that. But next time, I'm sure there'll be a next time we'll jump on one with video, and I'll try to look as good as you with that facial hair and that collared shirt.
Right on, my friend. I have no, that's the first time I've ever heard anybody jumping into a project from anything I've done. So that's a first for me, and super cool. And by the way, the entire FEG team, like I talk to a whole bunch of you guys on the core team often, and you guys are all super fun to talk to, super helpful, really collaborative. I love like the spirit and the culture you guys have developed there. I think more crypto projects need that for sure.
I think that's one of my favorite things as well. Not to toot our own horn or anything, but I think that the reason that we've been able to be relatively successful over the last 16 months is that we've built a sense of camaraderie and family in the ecosystem. You can come into our channel, people will ask questions, the community will oftentimes be the ones answering. You can come into the voice chat, you can go to FEG support chat, you can go to the listing support channel. I mean, there's countless ways that you can receive support from either community member or team community member alike, considering that we're all just community members ourselves, myself included. Everybody who owns FEG token owns FEG. There's no ownership, there was no team distribution. So, really, you just love to see people helping people, and then us also reaching out in philanthropic ways as well, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But I just love it.
Yeah, and I hope we'll definitely get into some of the philanthropic stuff in a bit. I love it. And one thing I should just say to the channel, RTR, you want to tell me how many dollars you guys are paying me to do this video with you?
Oh, like a quadrillion FEG. I'm just
Yes.
kidding. Absolutely nothing. And that's one thing I really appreciate about the content that you put out is that
Yeah.
you've never asked us for anything. I think the only time that I've ever seen anybody reaching out to you has been through Twitter, and it's been public. And a lot of what your videos come out, the reason that they come out is because the community reaches out to you, not even the FEG team. So there's never been any sense that I'm aware of, and I also handle those wallets. So there's no money going your direction. And I appreciate all the content that you put out for us, and you put out a lot of great content for other projects as well. So I would definitely, if not just watch the FEG video, but definitely watch everything that Wes puts out. You do really great analysis on the things you do. I know that some of our ecosystem videos, it's so difficult because we've been growing at kind of a rapid rate. It's difficult to keep up with. I know you have a life and you're balancing things out, and numerous projects as well that you're involved with. So it's a lot. And anything I can do to clear anything up about our ecosystem, I'm super happy to do.
Yeah, right on. And I think that's a lot of I'm excited about this interview because I'm going to learn a whole bunch of stuff too. And I think that's probably one of the best parts of it, is that I find myself constantly in a learning journey myself as I'm going down from project to project. And I'm glad you mentioned the, like, I prefer just to do these kinds of things. I follow the projects I want to follow. And like, I think for me, my YouTube channel has become like this expression of just what I want to cover and the things I have interest in. And because I'm not a full-time YouTuber and I don't need the money from it, it makes it a lot easier for me just to interview the people I want to interview and just see where things go. And I'll tell you, RTR, I love the FEG project. I remember covering it super early on. In fact, it was like the very first deflationary token project that I had ever come across before. And I was really, really interested in the dynamics and mechanics of it, only to see, like, literally, it seems like a billion new projects that have blown up that are all deflationary. People reach out all the time onto my channel, like, hey, will you cover this? Will you cover this? And the answer is almost always no, because I just don't know the project. I don't know where they're going. We've seen rug pull after rug pull in this space. And I think one of the things that the FEG team has done really good is lead from the front. And as you guys have grown, as the community has grown, I'm seeing you guys more out there in the public sphere, which I think is awesome. So that kind of leads into my first question. For those that are on here and they don't know you, can you kind of talk about who the heck you are and what you do on the FEG team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the title they gave me now is Global Project Manager. I'm RTRCrypto. I got into the project. I wasn't actually part of the team when FEG token was launched. I was in the voice chat on the second day of the FEG token, and we were speaking and conversing about the project. And I was actually in the FEG chat, in the FEG Telegram chat with my. I had never had Telegram before, and I got in Telegram, and I was my full name on there. I'm jumping in there. We're talking, and had all these things. And so I think on the fifth day of FEG, I actually created a new Telegram with my RTR crypto account, and just kind of asked. I spoke with FegRox, and I asked him. I said, hey man, like there's a few of us in the chat. We want to keep the chat open, but they don't allow it open unless there's a moderator in there. So I said, what do I have to do to be on the team? And he told me how he wanted the chat run, and we had a nice conversation, and I became part of the team. And at that point, there was only so few of us that it was just straight into the admin team. And from there, I guess I was hooked and stuck in there conversing with everybody 18 hours a day. I mean, we were just like, we were just enjoying each other's company, enjoying the space. DeFi was really blowing up at the time. And, you said the deflationary concept. We were the first project that I'm aware of that took the reflect finance concept, which is when you have a tax on the token and that tax is distributed back to the holders frictionlessly into their wallets. Now, we also incorporated the deflationary concept with the reflect finance, reflect finance, and we took that as, but the Shiba Inu essentially is the deflationary one we took copy of, but really they do a manual burn, and our burn was integrated into a transaction. So what we did is, when we put out that initial circulating supply of 100 quadrillion tokens, we sent 50% to a burn wallet. Now that burn wallet is considered part of the community. So whenever that 2% tax came up, initially it was taking half, 1% of the 2% tax. Now, as we move forward, we're now seeing around 60% of the 2% tax being distributed to the burn address. And that's now on both chains, because we launched FEG token on the Ethereum blockchain on January 31st of 2021. And we launched FEG on the BSC chain, on Binance Smart Chain, on February 12th of 2021. So
It's
that's
hard to
the
believe. It
concept there.
feels like FEG has been around for years. It's hard to believe it's barely a year old.
Yeah, when you put this many hours into something like this, it feels like a lifetime. Honestly, the 1.5 year just about now feels like 10. But when you're passionate about something and you enjoy it and you love what you're doing, and you're passionate about the space, and just increasing the safety and security for new and seasoned users like we are, and just really trying to build and innovate. I mean, we're so focused on what we're doing, the time just flies by. I mean, I don't joke when I say, like, I rarely know what day of the week it is when I'm working, unless I have something that I'm scheduled to do. But other than that, it's just every day you wake up, you hit the ground running, and we're all that way. And I know some of us probably sleep less than we should, and we need to focus a little more on taking care of ourselves as much as we do the community. But when you're just so passionate about something like that, I know I'm guilty of it, and the entire FEG team truly is guilty of it. We go as far as we can, as above and beyond as we can, for the users and the investors in the space, because education is the only way that we can bring adoption, and the only way that we can keep people from, I don't want to say themselves, but from doing things that could potentially cause them to lose their funds, or to, prevent them from jumping into scams or these fake airdrops and such, where you see, and rug pulls and honeypots, etc. And it's a constant battle, and it's something that we're really taking emphasis on when we build and grow in the ecosystem and in the space as a whole. We really want to decrease those things, and I think that's why you appreciate us, and I know that's why I appreciate what we're trying to do.
And I get it, like, I think that makes, like, you feel the responsibility of the community on your shoulders, and I mean that in a good way, right? Like, this is something that I think as good projects grow, it's just like you said, you pour in those hours because there's a ton of people that are riding on you. I mean, I think FEG is getting close to how many followers across all ecosystems? It's over a million now, right?
Yeah, so it's almost 1.1 million holders between the ETH and the Binance Smart Chain. And then, I mean, on our Twitter, it's like 455,000, 130 plus thousand in the Telegram, about probably 20 some odd thousand in Discord. I'm guilty of never being in Discord. The team will tell you that. There's so much more activity on Telegram, and people know to message me directly on Telegram and on Twitter. But if you're really trying to get a hold of me, jump on Telegram, because I'm in probably, without joking, maybe 25 to 40 chats for FEG, and I'm constantly having to keep up and be a part of everything. Part of my responsibility is making sure that everything is kind of moving in one direction, and so I have to maintain, I have to stay up to date and up to speed with what are the user interface things that are going on, what's going on in the back end, what's this front end dev doing and what's this back end dev doing, and making sure that they're collaborating in a way that's pushing us forward, because we're all running the same direction, but we have to run the same direction at the same time, or we'll finish at different times and things just don't get done. So it's a lot of responsibility, and I'm not the only one who does this. There's a lot of people in the team that are in multiple chats and channels and doing testing for different the BSI project that we have coming out. Well, it's not our project, but FegRox has done the contract code for it. This the DAO project that we've negotiated funds for our marketing team from him taking charge of their smart contract. And so actually we built a smart contract, and we built an app that's going to allow for voting in the DAO system. So we actually did quite a bit, but we're going to take a percentage for FEG marketing, which is really nice.
Let's pause on that for a minute, jump in. So talk to me more about the DAO. And I knew that a DAO was coming. And for those that are on the stream and don't know what a DAO is, you want to kind of explain traditionally, RTR, what a DAO is, and then how FEG is going to implement it. And then if you could, you mentioned an app, like how people can get involved in it. I'd love to dive into some of that.
Yeah, so it's a decentralized autonomous organization. Essentially, when the token launches, there's going to be a voting system. Without getting into too much detail, because there's a lot to it, but there's a voting system for everything. So there's going to be a treasury for it, where there's a certain allotment of money, and you can have the community based on the amount of tokens that you have. You'll have a vote. You have voting power, and you'll vote for. Let's say somebody comes and says, "Hey, I want to build this for the BSI token, Big Shiba Inu token," and then they say, "Okay, let's put it to a vote." The mods will approve it for a vote. The vote will occur, and then if it gets pushed through, they'll allocate funding depending on if it's necessary. When it's completed, you say, this is how much it's going to cost, this is what I want to do for the project. So then it has to be, somebody will build something, they'll send it in, it has to get tested, and then once it's tested and proven functional, then they get paid out. So it's really amazing, because what it does is it gives the community a sense of control, because they're literally voting on how much they've invested into the with power based on how much they've invested into the project. So it's really interesting concept, and the mods are voted in, the mods can be voted out. Everything is done by the community and what the say of the community what they want, what direction it goes. So the success and the failure ultimately falls on the community, and the team who's put in place for by the community, essentially. And
Okay.
so
And
that's coming.
talk to
That's
me a bit about like when are we going to see that materialize? Any timelines you guys have on that?
Yeah, so the devs are working on that right now. So the contract was large, very large. It was actually two smart contracts that worked in synchronous. And the issue that we had when we were building the application was that we needed to add additional code in there for the app, for integration of the app and the voting system. So what we had to do was have FegRox split that contract into three smart contracts. And when he split the contract into three, there was some synchronization issues with the three contracts functioning together. Like anything, when you're building something from scratch like that, and you change it into a whole different contract last minute. He had to do some extra testing, and so what he did was he put it into three. They're running testing. We have about 80 users, 80 plus users, between moderators from the FEG team and moderators from the BSI team. Well, pre-moderators, right, I should say, because they have to be voted in when the token goes live. But these are those that volunteer their time and have put the energy into it. And so we're all been in there testing, and it's actually looking really good. I can't give a specific timeline. I know that as soon as this integration, this testing of the three contracts is done, we're going to push a timeline out that'll be given from FegRox and the front end dev team that's building the app. And the app will be nice because instead of having to go onto blockchain like bsescan.com, or it'll be Etherscan because it's going to be on the ETH side, excuse me. We're testing on BSEscan, excuse me, because of the cheaper fees. But when you won't have to go to etherscan.com and go through the back end to do voting and these functions, call functions in that fashion. We're building it so that it's simpler for the user. So if there'll be an application that does all these things for you to vote. Now, we're really excited about it. There's been discussion about bringing some DAO functionality to the FEG token ecosystem. I won't get into too much depth in that because it's something that Rox and I have discussed. And we're thinking about trying to integrate that into some fashion so that there's more community involvement in the decisions. However, we do take all the community considerations. We have a /suggestions function in the main chat in FEG token chat on Telegram, and we get multiple suggestions all the time. And we had a wish list also on there where people would send in different recommendations. And so really everything that we've done in the sense of even from FEG track application when that first came out, I know you were around back then, all of that was built and improved based on community input. And then you look at the FEGX, the DEX, everything on there was built and improved based off of community input. How the users came and said, hey, I think it would be better if it looked like this, or if it did this, or if the drop down was in this way. And so that's how we built it. And now with this new beta.fegx.com that I know you did a review on as well, that right there is also a ton of suggestion from the community. And that's why we released it as a beta, so that when people go into and use it, we want to make sure that it's easy, because we're trying to bring about new adoption. So there's going to be a basic version and an advanced version, which has all the charting, because we know that adoption is not going to happen from these new users and them feel comfortable and confident. We don't want to scare them away at first sight.
Totally agree. And if you haven't seen my review of the beta FEGX, it's awesome. Maybe not the review. The review's okay, but the platform itself is exciting and we're getting ahead of ourselves. So we'll jump into this more, but let me just say this, and then we'll come back to this in my stream of like what I want to talk to you about is I think the future of what FEG is going to bring in terms of liquidity pooling and staking. Like I know staking and some of that stuff has sort of been there for a while now, but you guys have just had so many things to build. When I see what's there in the beta and how it's going to be implemented, it's the right way, brother. Like I'm very excited about where that's going. And I think it's going to bring to life so many new projects that become that fostering ecosystem for FEG. And I think that's the vision that FEG has that I am captured by so much, is that FEG is not this project where it's like, no, FEG is going to rule all the things and we'll be the only ones out there. You're like, no, we want to foster plenty of other projects. We want to foster other core teams, and we want to build all of this and let FEG build a lot of the tools to build that ecosystem around those projects, and we all join a larger family. And I love that collaboration because I think we're really missing that in the crypto space so often. I think we're getting closer to what does that collaboration look like with the addition of DAOs and the addition of what you guys are building inside of smart DeFi, all of that. But just want to commend you and say thank you from my perspective on the consumer side of the house. That's what we really want to see and know that there's confidence in this whole ecosystem, that there's room for growth. So I love that view. Has FEG always kind of been that way, or has that been like more like newer developments as the whole community has evolved?
In the beginning, it was really, we didn't have the decentralized exchange. So I think that when we brought out in March the beta decks, we were still just, that was simply testing within the team and the community. That's when we first initially saw the FRAPs and things. But in April, when we launched the decks, we sent out an ambassador group, reach out to other projects and let them know, hey, like this is FEGX and this is what we're doing, and this is what benefits you have from listing in our ecosystem. And we started this campaign of bringing DeFi together. And I think that was an important aspect of what we were trying to do, because for there's a lot of I don't want to say cult like activity in the crypto space, but there's a lot of loyalty when it comes to projects and investment. And you see a lot of people that'll bash other projects and this and they'll do these things. And truthfully, we tried to avoid doing that. From the team, we had specific conversations about not going out and publicly saying anything negative about projects, and trying to even calm the community down sometimes, and even telling them don't go and attack certain influencers that would say negative things. We just tell them, just let it blow over, because you're just feeding their activity on their website or on their social platforms. So it's not really not worth getting egged on for. But yeah, we really are trying to bring it together. And it's funny that you call it FEGX, and I actually put your YouTube video on for FegRox the other day, and he laughed about it.
I
And
can't get
it's
off
like
it.
kind
Yeah,
of a
every time I say, I'm like, it's FEGX. Jeez.
such a joke now. We actually joke about it sometimes. I'm like, have you made that update to FedEx? And he'll laugh, and it's funny. But we saw your video, and he looked at what you were talking about with the liquidity pools for osmosis, and he said, and he actually reached out because I think Tommy, he's our lead front end developer, he watched your video, and he suggested to FedRox as well that we look at adding that functionality into our decks. And he was like, oh, I can do that, that's not a hard thing to do, we just got to add it to the list of things that I have to build. So he was impressed, and he liked the suggestion. So that'll be another thing in the FEG ecosystem, along with AZ, that you brought about from through your videos. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Right on.
these functionalities as we grow, I think bringing these projects. I think the biggest issue that maybe you've seen, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think one of the biggest issues, and I know you created a token, but some of these smart contracts, the developers in the space, they're hustling these new project managers or project developers, and they'll put in a honeypot or a rug pull, and they'll keep access to their contracts, and they'll steal from them. And we've seen it multiple times in the space. And so really what our goal is, as we get into more talk about smart DeFi, we'll be expanding that ecosystem and allowing a little bit more flexibility with the template. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But really, what our goal is to give them the tools to do for themselves what they would be paying somebody to do, and give them to them for free, because we don't charge a listing fee to get on our decks. Everything that we do is just to improve the space, and to bring safety and security for the investors, because it's such a turnoff when you get into this project and you have maybe $100 or $200 you want to invest, and then you throw it into a project and it rug pulls, and then you think to yourself, well, I'm not getting into crypto anymore, and it burns you. And then the people that you speak to, they hear about your situation and say, I don't want to lose my money, so why am I going to do that? And so it really is a deterrent for bringing people into this space. And so that's our goal, to just make that less possible for these people, and really just
I,
bring everybody up.
I can't tell you how much I love hearing that and how much I agree with that, because I hinted at this a minute ago. Like, if I were to show my Gmail account that I use for people to reach out to me, it's 90% filled up with unknown projects that it's literally impossible for someone like me to vet. And the team is completely anonymous, so I don't know who they are. And the last thing I want to do is put my reputation behind a project that I don't know about, and then it rugs. Like, that's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. And I've desperately been looking for, and then I saw when Smart DeFi came out, I'm like, wouldn't it be the Fed guys? This is awesome. That it builds the protections around it for consumers like me. I think that's so important, because I want to embrace new projects, and I understand the rationale that some teams have to be private to start. But at some point, it's like, well, how am I supposed to why should I give? And I think we've talked about this before, but why should I give any of my reputation to a project who won't put their own reputation on the line? Right? That's hard for me. And so I just back out of almost all of those projects altogether, because I'm not willing to go through that risk. And so seeing how it's kind of guided through what Smart DeFi does, that prevents some of those common classic rug pulls, I think is a critical thing to building trust into the ecosystem and trust into the larger community. And I think that's been an area of innovation that crypto has needed for a really long time, because you're right. That's the whole reason I did my dictator token video, is to show how easy it is to spin these things up in 10 minutes and a few dollars in fees. You too can have your own coin. It's not hard. And so when there's no barrier to entry there, scams are naturally going to be so high. And so I love that. Can you talk just a little bit more, RTR, in the basics of how Smart DeFi and how the platform is working together to foster that trust and eliminate rug pulls as much as possible? Can you kind of talk about the mechanics of how some of that works?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fairly simple, to be honest. So we built a template, a smart contract, and what's really nice and interesting and unique about the smart contract is that all of the liquidity when you launch this token. So you'll go to smartdefi.com, you can mint a token off the deployer, which is the creation. By minting, I mean create a token. Then you can do a pre-sale. So you want to have some liquidity, which is the backing against your token, right? What token backs it, whether that be Ethereum right now or BNB on the Binance Smart Chain. And so if you host a pre-sale on there, you're able to, increase the amount of liquidity instead of funding it out of your own pocket. Now, you'll select certain parameters. We talked a little bit about the RFI tax, which is how much you want to redistribute back to your community for every transaction. You can do a smart rising price floor. And that smart rising price floor is how much of each transaction tax you want to go directly into your liquidity pool, helping to stabilize your price and feeding more liquidity. And you can do what's really interesting and is our asset backing percentage, which is a tax from every buy and sell transaction that goes into a separate liquidity pool, not directly against your token for the markets, the market trading, but if you want to take and burn your token, you can burn it for that minimum value, or you can take a loan for 30 days interest free against that minimum value that it gets. Now, the reason it's secure and safe is because the liquidity is locked within the smart contract. The person who creates and mints the token, what they can do is allot themselves a dev percentage. Now, that's a percentage of tokens that they want to keep for the team and they can utilize to sell in order to pay for things such as marketing and development, et cetera. And it's not abnormal to have a development share for a team, but you want to make sure that you look at the percentage of the dev share. You want to make sure that this has got a legitimate, team behind it. They've got a website, a roadmap, a white paper. You're not just throwing your money at a project right at the launch without knowing anything about it, because even as safe and secure as smart is, if they have a certain percentage of dev share tokens, they could always sell it on you if they kept 50% of the tokens. And you don't want that to happen. So you don't want to, I mean, it's like you said, when there's less friction to entry, there's no barrier to entry there. There can be people that have that ill intent. Now, we do have a couple of projects in our ecosystem that are actually vetting these projects, enforcing KYC of the developers in order to help to increase the safety of these projects. Now, one of those is, we have CNU token and SDocs token that are both doing those things in our space and our ecosystem, which are both really great. And I know who's running both of those tokens, and so those people are KYC to the FEG team. And so it's nice to know that there are quality team members out there that are actually trying to make a difference. Now, the safety and security, like I mentioned, is dependent on the contract. So that because all of the liquidity is hosted within the contract, the dev has no access to it during the pre-sale. They have no access to it once the token is launched. And actually, because the liquidity is locked within the contract, we created a widget that you can put into your website and trade directly with the smart contract. So let's say you have westspencer.com and you have your dictator token and it's a smart DeFi token. Well, you can just have it, you can put the widget right there on your site. They'll be able to connect the wallet and transact with your token there, because all you need is a user interface to interact with that smart contract. And FegX does that, but also the widget does that, which is really interesting and it's unique. So we really think that that's something nice. Let's say you have a charity token or something and you want to put it on your charity site and you're doing something of that fashion. Now, that's a little bit about that ecosystem in a nutshell. There's a lot to it in further detail, but that's how it creates the safety and security that you asked.
That's awesome. And for sure, there's room for us to dive into that deeper. Maybe at some point I'll just do a dedicated video on it. But I did want to bring that point out because I think it's a big deal, and I think the average consumer needs to know that where are the protections and the things I'm going to invest in, right? And so I absolutely love that. Let's see, a couple of things I did want to say a shout out to MT and also to looks like D Betong Media for a couple of the super thanks. I appreciate both of you guys. That's very kind of you, and definitely it goes right to the heart. So thank you guys. So RTR, you guys were in Dubai, if I remember right. I think you were there yourself. How was Dubai?
Yeah, I was. I was definitely there. As we spoke a little bit about how we some of these projects start anonymously, and we were mostly all anonymous until a certain point. I know that when FegTrack came out, Tommy had to put his name on that in the App Store, so he was doxxed very early on. And several other team members like Frankie, Omo, Sticha, myself, we all went to Dubai. AZ was there. He was in Dubai as well. That his passion brings him out as much as possible. So he was there with us as well. And a number of other team members, Diano and such. And so we had people flying in from all over the world. And it was an amazing time. You know, when you work with people over the internet and online, you create this relationship with them, and you don't know what they look like, and you've never really met or seen them, and but you've created a bond, and it's like we spoke about earlier in the FEG ecosystem. There's such a camaraderie there, and a feeling of familyness, and so we met, and it was so like fluid. There was no like awkwardness. I mean, people came up to me and hugged me, gave me kisses on the cheek and stuff. It was a really like warm embrace. Everybody was so happy to meet one another. We went out and bonded, had some drinks, had dinners, spoke. Everybody kind of told us about their backstory, how they got into FEG, and all these things. And the expo was fantastic. That was March. It was in March 16th and 17th, I believe, and it was a great time. They hosted such an amazing event. Dubo did a fantastic design for a booth for us. And when we got there, they did an amazing job building it and putting it together. We were thrilled with it. It was so bumping. I mean, there was just wall to wall booths all over the place. It was an amazing experience. We got to meet so many people and network out there. I got to do a nice speech on stage. I'll say nice, that's subjective, but you guys can tell me how it was. I never rewatched it. I hate hearing myself speak, so I never rewatch anything I put out. So I did the speech on stage, and it was so funny because, as soon as I walked off stage, a bunch of people flocked with me to our booth, directly to our booth, and it was right out the doors from the stage. So it was fantastic positioning for us. And we had an amazing time. I met some OG holders that were in FEG since March, or some February, March of 2021, and they flew out just to meet the team. It was an amazing experience, and we won Best DeFi Technology at the expo. So there was an award ceremony. They gave out awards for certain things. We won Best DeFi Tech. Undeniably, maybe I'm a little biased, but undeniably, we have the best DeFi technology in the space. I mean, everybody always asks me, like, I see the polls that say which one of these tokens, and I always tell them, line up the tech, line up the use case, because it's going to tell you everything you need to know. It's not my opinion that matters. Make it objective. So, but we had a fantastic time. I think there's some real potential in the space, some projects out there that have really good intent, and they're really trying to make a difference. So, big shout out to everybody that went to the Crypto Expo in Dubai. I thought it was an amazing experience and a lot of great projects.
That's super cool. A huge congrats to the FEG team. I mean, well deserved, well earned. And it reminds me of RTR, like the time, like I don't know your age, but for me, the only other time I've seen that kind of thing happen where a community spins up and you're sort of anonymous and you don't know each other, and then all of a sudden you have a chance to meet. I haven't seen that happen since like the mid 90s, in the days of like ICQ and chat rooms and even like bulletin boards and all that kind of stuff from the way, way, way back. Probably 90% of this channel is like, what is he talking about? But it was a
Yeah.
really cool thing in those days because you could build camaraderie around a common purpose, not knowing who those people are. And then you get that chance to meet them. And it's like, I don't know how to, it's surreal is the best way I know to describe it. And all of a sudden crypto is sort of like rebirthed all of that. So it's cool hearing your story around all of that. And I'm sure it was fun having a little bit of that star power and A-list celebrity while you're walking around there. People, but it means a lot, doesn't it? To see like, these are the people that share this vision and that have been captured by the same thing that we're working our tails off for. Right. So I think that's awesome. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I honestly, I was really humbled being there. And I think that when you're at home and you're in front of a PC all day, and you're just grinding, you're at the grindstone, and you're just going all day, every day. Sometimes you don't take a step back and really think, like, man, this is really big, what we're doing. Cause I'm focused so much on like, this has to get done. This has to get done. We got to do this. I have to make sure that this happens. So my mind is always on task orientation. And so sometimes I really try to make an effort to take a step back and just see, how big this is. And the amount of people that have love and show love and support for what we do is crazy. It was such a weird feeling for me when people were like, let me take a picture with you. And they just wanted to meet me. And I was just, it was really an interesting experience. I was humbled by it. I know that the FEG team was just shown so much love as a whole. Everybody was so ecstatic just to see and meet everybody, and they really were appreciative of what we were doing. Not even because of what their bag size was or how much money they've made. People were just excited because they could see the passion that we have, and they could see what our goals are, and they want to be a part of it. I met a guy at the expo, and I explained what FEG was in about 5 minutes to him, and he goes, "Man, I don't even care if I make money. I'm going to invest in your token." He's like, "I just love what you guys are about." So it's really just that sense of camaraderie and what we're doing. You can feel the energy when somebody's trying to give you nonsense or feed you some crap. You can tell. But when you see and hear the passion from this team, it really just humbled me. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, we were out, and I just kind of sat down, and everybody's like, "Why are you so quiet?" But I was just looking at the team and, like, taking in the fact that we brought all these people together. We all have a common purpose, and what we're doing is really beautiful. And it was, I don't mean to get too sentimental, but it was really emotional for me as somebody who's, like, been a part of this for so long and helped to build, and who brought in a lot of these people to the team. So it was something special, and I look forward to the more experiences like that. We'll be going hopefully to a couple more of these expos, maybe an expo every year. I really enjoyed the Dubai one. I wouldn't mind going back.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys should definitely let me know if you end up going to any, especially stateside. I think I'll be at Consensus this year in Austin coming up in a few months. But um, yeah, I would love to meet up with you guys. And I love the story, right? Like, that's definitely representative of who the FEG team is. We're going to do a super quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. I need to grab a drink of water. This will take probably 30 seconds. And then we get back, RTR and I are going to talk a little bit more about smart DeFi, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some new projects and updates that you guys have along the way. So that'll be coming up here in just a second. All right, let me grab a quick drink. All right, so I don't know if that actually went to break or not. I blame YouTube. Hit the ad
No
insert.
problem.
RTR, who the heck knows? So I think we're still live, but that's all good. Give me a chance to get a quick drink. So we talked a little bit about smart DeFi, where it's going, why it's useful. You mentioned a couple of projects that are already there. What kind of traction has it gotten so far? Like, how many do you guys have insights into, like, how many projects are being built on top of it? And what's the traction looking like so far?
Oh, there's been hundreds of projects that have come out on it. I mean, right at the launch, after a couple of days, there's already several hundred projects, but several of them have been getting some good traction. But what I really want to see and I had this discussion with the FEG admin team yesterday and today, and previously with FegRocks, is that I want to see us increase the templates for Smart DeFi. Now, I know that it's not going to have the liquidity locked within the contract anymore. Well, it will, because we're going to offer several templates that allow for certain things. Now, I truly believe that if we want to increase the use case and increase the ecosystem for Smart DeFi, what we have to do at this point is to allow tokens some some functionalities that currently it doesn't have. Some want to list on a centralized exchange, and we understand that. And so what we want to do is allow tokens to list on centralized exchanges. There are a couple other functionalities maybe that projects have wanted to implement into their tokenomics that they couldn't, because the template doesn't have those permissions. And so it would be my goal for him to open up a contracts that allow certain permissions and that allow tokens to list on centralized exchanges. Also, maybe different template styles, like token contract styles, maybe a DAO template for Smart DeFi, so that you're giving projects the option to create something while still maintaining the security of pushing a template that's safe and secure. And so that at least they know the project itself, the smart contract that it's written on, is one of that's safe and secure. It's not going to be something that somebody can come in and rug or honeypot you. Now, it definitely takes away the liquidity locking, which is the sole security of no honeypot, no rug pull of Smart DeFi. If we push it out as a template, it still would be safe, but liquidity, they'll be able to disperse it between exchanges however they'd like to do that. And I think allowing people the options is really a necessary thing. We wanted to push out the safest contract style first, and we did that, and it's been fantastic. The asset backing feature, people are loving that. It's really a nice thing to see when somebody can say, "Hey, I got $200 in this token that I can take a loan out for 30 days. I can invest in this other project. And they're doing that. They're actually taking out loans against one project. They're putting it into another project, taking rewards and paying back that loan. But now they've got money to trade again for another project. So they're really, there's a lot of ways that people are utilizing it. And I want to see it grow, but I think that if we limit it, it's definitely gonna inhibit the growth as well. So there's a lot to the smart DeFi ecosystem, and the more that we look at it, we're definitely trying to push more ways also to promote the smart DeFi ecosystem without showing a favoritism of tokens. Now, we also spoke a little bit about how these projects can hold a dev share, and we're trying to make sure that we're looking at promoting some of these projects, but we want to do so in a way that maybe there's an amount of time that goes by that they've been running the project, right? There's a minimum market cap. Either they've KYC'd with potentially one of these projects that we have that's KYCing these tokens and making sure that the teams are real teams and they have sort of a real use case or functionality behind them, and they're not going to just run off with people's money. So it's difficult because, like you said, when you're hosting an ecosystem, we're decentralized, right? So it's difficult for us to say that for us to put our name behind another project, even though it's in our ecosystem, because we can't control that dev share, right? So we're looking at the best ways for us to set parameters to where we can push and promote these projects without hindering our name as well. And it's a kind of a gray area, and it's a fine line, and it's something that we're not struggling with, but we're definitely reviewing as the ecosystem is getting bigger. And I know you can understand that. And I know that many of influencers and even celebrities alike, they're very cautious when it comes to promoting cryptocurrencies because of this, because of the way that the market is in the space with scams and such. So you just have to be cautious. And that's something we're very conscientious of.
Yeah, and fair point. And I think this idea of what you mentioned before of a DAO for governance and ownership over it, I think is brilliant. I think doing what you can around KYC. I think at the end of the day, I think most of the community, just speaking for myself, will understand when you say, "Hey, here is the level of support and the due diligence that we put into this project. Here are the risks that are involved. Make your own decisions. No one's telling you what to do, but these are the things we've done as much as we can do around all of it." I think the community will get behind that. And I think as we're seeing DAOs continue to emerge and give capabilities of not just ownership, but even decision making, empowering decision making back to the community is a really powerful thing. So if you see nefarious things happen, we can do something about it. Some of you guys in this in the live stream may not know. One of the projects I follow is called Juno, and Juno had something similar happen. They tried to airdrop a bunch of their token out for the very first time, and they ran into some problems in that the airdrop, there was one user who, as it was discovered, had a whole bunch of individual wallets that each qualified for the airdrop, and so it looked like it was airdropping millions of dollars of Juno to lots of users, but it was just a single user. And so the DAO got together and voted and actually revoked the funds. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, right? Right or wrong, there's a lot of argument in the community of should we do that, should we not? But ultimately, at the end of the day, the community voted and the community spoke. And I think that's a powerful thing that can foster trust when we sometimes have that inability to really understand and know truly where the risks lie. So I love hearing that, RTR, and I want to see that continue to grow. One person did ask in chat, looks like Fun Dumb Mental, I love the username, where can we find out about the loan stuff? I was wondering the same thing. Is that available yet? Where can we see that?
Yeah, so you can go. It's a smart lending function. You can either read about it in the tokenomics document or the white paper that's there on the on fegtoken.com. It has all the information about it. You can go if you have any questions on it. You can also jump into the Feg chat and ask, or you can jump into the voice chat and be helped out as well. Now, the smart lending piece is on. If you go to fegx.com, you can go to the smart lend tab and you can do it right there, and you can pull out the loan there. Now, you have 30 days to go back and repay that loan. Otherwise, it burns your token. So I had somebody ask me, well, what happens if after 30 days you don't repay that? Well, it's gone. So you have to make sure you either come back and pay that, or you do an extension for 30 days, and the extension will cost you 0.1% of your collateralized assets. So however much you put in there, 0.1% of it is going to be taken for a 30-day extension if you don't have those funds. But it's better than losing them. And it gives you the same amount of time to give back whatever that initial payment was, because even though there's an asset backing percentage that's still being taken from every buy and sell when that token is being traded in the market, when your token is collateralized, when it's being held by the smart contract, it's actually still earning that asset backing value. So when you come back, and let's say you come back on day 28, you pay your loan back, and you say, "Man, I still need that money." You can take it out again, and when you take it out that loan again, immediately you're actually taking it out at whatever the new baseline asset, the asset backing value is, whatever that new baseline value is, and so you're taking out a higher loan that time, however much you decide, but you can take out the total amount or part of it. Now that's really nice because you don't have to come back and pay an increased amount and to meet that asset backing. Now you're actually getting it's being done by itself. So you're only paying back exactly what you took out, which is fantastic.
Okay, got it. That makes a lot of sense. If anyone in chat is wondering, like, why would I do any of this? Well, here's some of the rationale behind it. Let's say that you're somebody that owns, let's just make some stuff up. You own a lot of Ethereum, right? You've been buying Ethereum for a while and you're sitting on, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of Ethereum, and you want to get into something else, right? But you don't want to sell your Ethereum to do it because you're bullish and believe in the future of XYZ. That you want to get into. So this ability to have a crypto enabled loan collateralizing based on what the assets you already have, and you're putting some, you have to follow this, right? It's like, as you mentioned, it's not a joke. You better renew after those 30 days or pay it back. But we're seeing like more of these kinds of lending products come out to market. I think they're very, very smart, right? Giving, again, power back into the hands of the people and away from banks, right? And proving that we can do this without a centralized intermediary, I think is really, really exciting. So I love that. I would love to jump into more and I'll have to cover. You're giving me more and more things on my notes over here of what I'm going to have to start covering for some more videos. What else is new in the FEG ecosystem? Any other projects or updates that you have that you want the community to know about, RTR?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so right now we have our staking version 2.1 that's going to be coming shortly. Rox has been testing that and updating it. So there was on the Binance Smart Chain side, there was a distribution of tokens higher on the UI side. So it pushed the UI side like a 15-to-1 ratio on the Binance Smart Chain side for USDT and about 5-to-1 for the BNB. So we locked up the withdrawal on that for a little while, and now FegRox is releasing it and opening it up, and the BNB is back to a 1-to-1 ratio. So when people take their tracking tokens, they'll be able to swap them for the BNB, and the USDT will be about a 5-to-1 ratio because on the UI side it was showing a higher amount, but now it's down to about a 5-to-1 ratio. So we're going to do those and do the swap with the tracking tokens for the USDT that's owed and the BNB that's owed for the withdrawal. Now we're also updating it to a version 3. Which is going to be implementing the USCT, which is our universal stable cent. Now, the stable cent is going to we're putting a router on FegX that will allow you to buy any token in the crypto space, and it'll route from any decentralized exchange, PCS, Uni, 1inch, Sushi, etc. So you'll be able to decide what router you use, and it'll pull the tokens, and you'll be able to buy directly on FegX.
That's
Now,
awesome.
the stable cent will be backed by. Right now, we're looking at USDC and also DAI. So we're looking at both of those as backing. And so FegRox will ultimately make the decision if we do one or we do both. But what'll be really cool is that the transaction fees that are taken from the contract when it's routing through USCT, they'll be given to Feg stakers. So you'll be earning USCT, which is a stable coin, from your staking rewards. So not only are you going to be earning what you've already been earning, you're going to be earning the USCT. Now you can take that and unwrap it for stablecoin, whether that be USDC or DAI at the time. And also, if you decide to, you can take your USCT rewards from staking, and because it's on a router, you can actually say, oh, instead of taking out USCT, I want to withdraw my rewards into Bitcoin, or I want to withdraw my rewards into Ethereum or BNB. If something's on a dip and you say, I have all this USCT in my staking rewards, and something go dip like we've been seeing in the market today, and for months now, but you can say, oh, it's on a dip, let me buy those with my staking rewards. So you can route it just like that. It'll also allow you, when we directly pair Feg against USCT, we're going to actually pair it against our stable token. You'll be able to, because it's on a router, you'll be able to buy it with any token. So you'll be able to take Bitcoin and buy Feg, or buy and sell Feg into Bitcoin, or use Shiba Inu or something. You can use Shiba Inu into Feg or Feg into that. Now, another really interesting thing is that FegRox is looking at building an overlay so that he can put the router to apply to smart DeFi tokens. So you'll be able to buy smart DeFi tokens with any token instead of having to come in with Ether BNB. You'll be able to use that router to buy the smart DeFi token as well. We also plan on allowing smart DeFi tokens to be backed by stable, so backed by USCT. So if we do it like that, then you'll be able to earn your asset backing in stablecoin. So you won't be subject to ETH or BNB price fluctuations on that asset backing. You'll actually be getting in stable. So there's a lot of cool things that are coming to the ecosystem in that fashion, and we're really excited about that. Now, we're also doing the Rockstars NFT sale because we want to list on one of the top major centralized exchanges for FEG token. And so we have these Rockstar NFTs, going to be 10,000 NFTs. We've yet to slap a price tag on them yet. We're definitely taking a look at the market sentiment right now and understanding that things are down and things are bearish. So we're definitely the timing of the release and the cost will be a little bit dependent on how we see the market recovering in the near future. And from there we'll be definitely attempting to list on some top centralized exchange. We've already been in discussions. We have applications that have been submitted, and we're definitely trying to meet criterion for some of these centralized exchanges. It feels like the higher up you go, the more hoops you have to jump through. And we're okay with that, because as long as it's a standard that everybody has to accommodate to and it creates safety and security, then we're all for it. So we're definitely looking at some top exchanges, and we've been in talks with them already. So it's been interesting how this is moving forward. But we look forward to it. And, even though we run a decentralized exchange, we think it's important to it's about barriers getting into the space. And a lot of people in the US especially, they have difficulty getting into DeFi, and even all around the world. I mean, it's one thing to get on a centralized exchange, and then it's another thing to take that money and move it to a decentralized wallet, then trade on a crypto platform that's something that you're not used to, or something that you haven't built trust with yet. So there's a lot of barriers when it comes to decentralized finance, and you and I both know that, and I think everybody listening here knows that. But what we're trying to do is create that safety and security, and brand ourselves and build that up over time, where the trust and the security behind it, is unquestionable. So people understand that when they see FEG, the feet of a gorilla, they brand that with safety and security. That's what's understood when you see that. And so over time, we think that these limitations won't be as big of a deal. And we know that adoption for cryptocurrency is steadily on the rise, whether that be through tokens themselves or people getting into the NFT market and forcing them to get into cryptocurrency in that fashion. But however they want to do it, or governments bringing it into their countries, however it's happening, adoption is on the rise. These bearish times are painful, but we know that they're not everlasting. And so we're going to see this market turn around. And when it does, Fed will have been continuing to grow and innovate and develop, and will be going forward as, just like we are.
Okay, got it. I like that. And from my perspective, we had talked about this a little bit, I think, before, but I do think that makes sense, especially going into centralized exchanges, right? Like, I know for some, it's really philosophically against the grain of what they believe in, and I understand that. But the reality is, you're right. So many people want to get into crypto, and the majority of what they know how to do is buy on Coinbase right there on the phone. That's all they can do. And they want to get into some other things. And like, how do I even do that? That's a challenge for them. I recognize that very much so. And so I think that accessibility is huge. And I love where FEG is going. Like, you guys really do push the envelope in terms of like where you're innovating and where you're building, but keeping in mind the base level use case of a dollar cost averaging Bitcoin buyer. How do we get them into FEG as well? I think is smart, right? We really do. If we want to have best adoption, we've got to account for all kinds of investor classes. Okay, so it's already, my goodness, it's 4:00 my time. We've already done this for an hour. It's kind of blown by. I feel like we've been talking for 10 minutes. Do you have a few more minutes to talk about PASA and FEG Scholar? And then also, can I double you up a little bit more and then answer a few questions from the community? Would that be okay, RTR?
Yeah, absolutely. I got no problem with that.
Okay, great. So talk to us a little bit more about the nonprofit initiatives you guys have going on, the giving back. I'd love to hear more about that. And then we'll jump into some Q&A after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Pan-African Sanctuary Alliance, and that is a official sponsorship. They're a nonprofit organization in Africa that has 23 coalitions through 13 countries. They have multiple affiliations with other wildlife reserves and organizations that are trying to help save and secure, these animals that have been struggling. They combat what they're doing, wildlife preservation. They do community outreach. They do research. They do rehabilitation back into the wild. And so we've been helping to feed all the apes and monkeys there. We decided in early 2021 that we were going to create a relationship with them. We were actually the first sponsorship that they got in cryptocurrency. So it was one of the, we're trying to break down the barriers also in the charitable realm, with the with cryptocurrency and bringing them into the space, which I think is another thing that could be huge for cryptocurrency as charity. So we're also doing that. So we donated, I think last year, we set up a perpetual wallet. It was about $1.1 million when we set it up, and that obviously the price of that now fluctuates with the price of the token, but it's a perpetual faucet that allows us to take the rewards and sell them and to help them with funding every month. We also donate, we match the first $750 every month that the community donates, and we also donate on top of that. So I think last year, received funds, they gave us an award that they presented to us online, and it was about $122,000 that we gave them throughout those 6 or 7 months
Awesome.
that we had our sponsorship with them in 2021. Now we've continued that. We have a great relationship with them. They've been on FEG Radio. We speak to them frequently. We still maintain those donations, and we're really excited about it. We also have helped out some of the other reserves that have had some difficult times during COVID and sponsorship. So we're really happy with this relationship, and we plan on moving forward with it for as long as we can. The FEG Scholar is something that we're really proud of. It's bringing financial literacy education to children around the world. And so what we did was we took the financial literacy modules from Singapore, we had them broken down and built the curriculum. We had somebody who specialized in curriculum building, an educator, build them up for 3 different age groups. We have a team that goes and is sent out to these countries. In December, we did the Philippines, where we donated 300 backpacks, notebooks, writing utensils, rulers. I think we did 50 prosthetic devices for children with disabilities. And then we had them taught students, teachers, and parents these financial literacy modules. We also have right now they're going to be going to Haiti here shortly. So we have Haiti this month, and then we're looking at doing Nigeria in the next several months. So there's a lot of things to look at, whether that be restrictions with COVID and these limitations, but we're doing our best to work around them. And it's been fantastic. I think that you can just donate goods. You can take a backpack to somebody and give it to them. But if you really teach them a skill that could change their life, can change their parents' lives, their teachers' lives, then they can continue that education and bring about change in the community for the long term and really improve their situation. And that's our ultimate goal here.
I love it. And I agree. I think that's the future of what we get when it comes to the capabilities of crypto, allowing charitable donations and getting back to the world in which we all live. I think that's a great thing. So let's do this. We have RTR, if you want to stick around for just a few questions, and you have the right to answer or not answer any questions. The same thing I say when I do AMAs on my own channel. Sometimes I just can't or won't or don't know how to answer a question. That's okay. But if any of you guys listen, got hundreds over, I think on both channels, we've had over 100 the entire time long. So great attention here. Love to know what questions you guys have. I did see some questions around the Graphene wallet that came in earlier. You want to talk about that a little bit while we wait for some more questions to come in?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. Repeat that question. I apologize.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the Graphene wallet? I know that was mentioned before early in the chat.
Absolutely. I was going to bring that one up as well. So the Graphene wallet is really unique. It's actually a smart contract wallet. So it's got three seed phrases are generated from the smart contract. Now it gives you the first seed phrase, that's your main seed phrase. It gives you a second seed phrase, that's your two-factor authenticator that generates your code from the blockchain, because it's an on-blockchain two-factor authenticator. So it pulls like bits of a transaction hashes, it pulls timestamps down to the second in the block, and so not even a supercomputer could crack it in the amount of time. It's a fantastic layer of security. Then we have the third seed phrase, which is your backup wallet. Now, if somebody, let's say you're a new user and you connect to a malicious site that steals your seed phrase, it's a fake airdrop site, and they get your wallet, they log in with your first seed phrase, and they try to send your funds to their own wallet. So the destination address, the to addresses themselves, they make a send. Well, if they don't have the two-factor authenticator, that send to address doesn't mean anything. What it's going to do is it's going to send to your backup wallet, so that you can access the backup wallet with your two-factor authenticator combination and make that withdrawal call and put it into another wallet, so that both your seed phrases are safe. Like I said, it's a smart contract, so you'll have to renew the smart contract, and you can send it out to either your Graphene wallet again, or whatever wallet you're deciding to use. But that's going to actually cost $50 worth of FEG token to activate the smart contract. So what that'll do is definitely it'll increase adoption for FEG token. It'll increase liquidity against the token, and it'll also burn the token at a rapid rate, since we're requiring a $50 worth of token burn. Now, it's not new token that you have to burn. If you're a holder already, that $50 you can take and you can just burn it there, with what you've already owned in FEG token. So that's something that we're really proud of. We built the back end of that, and we actually, when we were in Dubai, we put out a flyer with the seed phrase and $100,000 worth of FEG token in there, and nobody's been able to crack it yet. So we're really proud of that.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that if anyone has broken it yet. If you want to see it, it's graphene.com. I guess I should put a link into chat so you guys can see that. So no one's gotten the fund yet.
Nobody's gotten the funds yet, and so we've had a little bit of backlash on Twitter, people saying you got to change this in the code for us to take, for us to have a chance, and this and that. And we said, basically, we just said, so you're saying that it works, and so the money's still there. That's all I know. And if they can't take my funds, that's all I care about.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and I was reading a BSC.news article on this as well. It looks like FEGX Graphene wallet comes under attack. 2FA blocks the hack. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, BSC News, man, they're fantastic people. They've shown us nothing but love and support over the last, since we've been around. But as of recently, they've been doing an outstanding job covering our ecosystem. So if you guys don't, definitely follow BSC News. They're doing an amazing job, and BSC Daily as well.
Awesome. FEG holder, it says that Graphene is an anagram for earn FEG. Is that intentional?
No, it wasn't intentional. I came up with Graphene at about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was looking at like strongest materials known to man, and I was on the phone with Omo, one of the core team members for FEG, and we were going over it. And actually, Graphene in English, the domain graphene.com was like $5 million, and I was like, we're not doing that. So we looked at Graphene. Then this spelling is actually like the Latin version of graphene. So it's actually graphene in multiple languages. And it just so happened to be an anagram for earn FEG, which I thought was such an amazing, they always say nothing is a coincidence. And it was amazing that we came to that point without knowing or noticing. And then somebody actually wrote it on a piece of paper and sent it to us, the team. And we were like, things just, it's spooky sometimes how they work out, but it was not purposeful. It's just an awesome coincidence, and maybe we'll tell people it was on purpose. But
yeah, they always say that the universe is a simulation, so maybe this is just further evidence of it, right? Who knows? Let's see. One other question: what's the ETA of USCT and two-factor on the Graphene wallet?
So the USCT is in final testing stages. What we're working on right now is the integration aspect of it. So we have to have the integration for the new swap contracts that are coming out. This is probably something I should mention. So what we're doing is we're actually pushing out a new swap contract, which is the contracts the tokens run on when they list on FEG Exchange. This doesn't include the smart DeFi tokens. This is just projects that launch on FEGX that are pre-existing. Now, what we're doing is we're actually decreasing, we're removing the gas rebate function, because with Ethereum 2.0 coming out in Q3, and with limited gas fees on the Binance Smart Chain, we don't think that it's necessary to do the rebate as much anymore. So what we're going to do is we're actually increasing the allocation to FEG staking, and we're increasing it to LP rewards on for the LP rewards for the token itself. So anybody that's got LP liquidity, they're putting in liquidity, they're going to earn more rewards, whether that be FEG token or any other token alike. And we also implemented a marketing fee into the buy transactions for tokens on FEGX. And it's a small fee, 0.05%, I believe. But I should note that this does not increase the fees on FEGX trading. Actually, if you look and you average the fees, look at the fees that average out on between buys and sells on all the exchanges, we're actually on par. We're about average when it comes to the fees for trading. And actually, it reduced the fee slightly on a couple of the transactions. So it really is a nice thing to increase. We're buffing up staking rewards. So if you're holding FEG token and you're staking, you're going to be earning more rewards from transactions, buys and sells on the exchange. You're going to be earning more rewards from USCT, from all the tokens that get routed. And you'll also be, if you're putting in liquidity for these tokens, you're going to be earning a higher liquidity percentage on the transactions as well. So that's all fantastic news.
Awesome.
And once those are all integrated, then we'll be releasing that. So the final testing is underway.
Awesome, awesome. So, slew of questions came in from Dibbatong Media, and they're good ones, especially a couple of the subjective ones. I think are fun to answer. So, what makes you so passionate about the FEG project?
Well, we discussed a little bit earlier about the camaraderie that it has, cleaning up the cryptocurrency space, bringing new and innovative ways for people to create tokens and to really push forward, whether it be a pre-existing business or new business opportunities. I think that bringing in charitable aspects into the crypto space is fantastic. Collaborating with multiple projects in the space and what they're trying to do and helping to promote each other. Big shout out to Crypto Legends Group. So FEG, we joined this group called Crypto Legends. We did an AMA on the 23rd and 24th of April with them, and it was a 48-hour AMA. It was the longest AMA that we're aware of, consecutive AMA, and it's just a group of projects that are being vetted and put into this group and working collaboratively to make the space a better place. And we help each other. They've got different people have different marketing methods or resources that they have, and different community things that can be done, or different bots that they've built that we can implement. And so we're really just trying to help each other and grow, hand in hand in the space, and being able to tell people about projects that are safe and secure and that have been vetted, because we have a team there that's doing, running FBI background checks, and they're doing extensive research into the projects that are part of this group. So FEG was a part of the group. I think we were one of the first 10 projects that were invited into the group, and we have nothing but great things to say about them. So in regards to what makes me passionate about it, honestly, I just love everybody that's a part of this project as well. I love our community. I think that it's just been an undying loyalty and faith in us. The faith that they put into us makes me so passionate about this and want to wake up every day and work with what we're doing and push this forward, because I truly think that we can make a difference in this space. And I think that his follow-up question was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I think the FEG ecosystem, I would love to see it being one of the top crypto exchanges in the space. I think that in terms of decentralized finance, we're definitely undervalued as a token. I think that our exchange, what we're building, the functionality of the DEX is fantastic. I know that there's more that needs to be added. The staking for every token, these liquidity pool updates that we want to add. We're starting with the increased percentages, but we want to grow out this ecosystem and this DEX and make it a place where new and seasoned traders can come and can see the liquidity lock percentages right there in front of them. They can trade with the charting software right in front of them. It's easy to use, it's fluid, and you do always have a resource, which is the team and the community, to come back to and assist you with anything you need. And the smart DeFi ecosystem as well. We talked about increasing the templates. I would love to see that ecosystem blowing up and growing, because I know that it would prevent a lot of scams out there using templates that we've produced, so that projects are not being rugged or they're not being taken advantage of. So really, the plan is the same today and tomorrow as it is in 5 years. Keep growing, keep innovating, keep making this space safe and secure, and being available as a resource to anybody who needs it, whether they're new or seasoned traders. We're always here for you. Just like Wes is. I mean, we're all doing our part. And I think that if we keep doing this for months and years to come, then we're really going to make a difference as a whole.
I love it. And it's got to be another benefit here of you sitting around the Thanksgiving table and grandma or old Uncle Joe asks you what the heck you do. And you say you spend a lot of time with this awesome crypto project called FEG. And I'm sure they give you these blank looks of what the heck is this? I get some of that on the crypto side when I had a family member say, hey, I follow your YouTube channel. I watch every video. And they're like, but I have to let you know, I have no idea what you're talking about on any of them. I just think it's fun to stay in touch with you. I'm like, hey, thanks. I appreciate that. So, that's got to be a fun benefit as well. One other question I wanted to answer, RTR, and I know we're about at the end of time here. This came in from Soleil. Will FEG create its own blockchain? I know that's an interesting question because, and I know that the impetus of it is the high fees in Ethereum and, continuing to see other projects sort of like innovate around it. And we've seen Flow do that from the Dapper Lab side of the house on the, NBA Top Shots and all that, just demanded they create their own blockchain. And we've heard the Bored Apes crew say they're going to do the same thing. I would assume that the FEG team does not think that creating their own blockchain is anything that they would do unless they were absolutely forced into it, just given how much time you guys are spending in dev resources and other priorities, right? Is that correct?
It's a question that we get all the time. We've talked about master blockchain, and Rox has actually got an idea for a blockchain and how it would run, and he has a vision for one. he doesn't feel forced yet to have to do it, to use the terminology you used, but we have a lot of resources that we're a lot of things that resources are being tapped out right now with a lot of the stuff that we're currently building. It's not something that we have on the roadmap just yet. It's something that I think if we begin to see that it's just continuing to be a problem either after E 2.0 comes out and it's not scaling appropriately, or there's still just a lot of flaws and there's a lot of issues with any of the networks, and we plan on expanding to multiple blockchains as well over time. And so there's a lot to consider, but all I can say is I've spoken to Rox about it. He has an idea for a blockchain that he would like to build that's unique and different to what's already out there, and he has the capability to do it. I've asked him if he could do it, and he said yes. He said he said, for lighter terms, he said it'd be a real pain in the ass because that's something that teams spend years building because the security on a blockchain is a big deal. And when you see these exploits coming out in the space, whether that be a bridge or it be just these different blockchains and exploits that occur, you really have to be cautious because you're dealing with people's money, and safety and security for our users and investors is something that we hold to the highest priority. So it's definitely not something that we take on lightly, and if we were to do something like that, we know it's a huge feat, and so it has to be something that we're ready for. So in the immediate future, not just yet. I know that Rox, like I said, he's got something in his mind, and usually when that happens, he decides to move forward with something over time, but it's something we know is a big job, and we'll take it as in stride. We'll see if that's something that comes to fruition.
That's the right answer in my mind, right? For what that's worth. Knowing that it's possible, knowing that there's a journey, and even road mapping out what it would take if you had to do it, but not, it's sort of like the nuclear card, right? Let's not do that unless we absolutely have to. And at this point, I know people are frustrated with fees, but I think at some point, it's not like the Ethereum project is unaware of this. They're racing full steam ahead to correct and fix. And we've seen some of the new updates that are in process to address some of that. So I think that's the right answer. RTR, thank you for joining the live stream. This was super fun, and I'd say it's probably the fastest hour and 20 minutes I think I've ever spent on an interview. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you having me on here. You've been, a valuable asset to the FEG ecosystem, and I know I've tried reaching out before, but it's so hard doing it in YouTube comments and whatnot. But I'm glad that we've been in touch. I know I have you on both now Twitter and on Telegram. Like I mentioned, Telegram is the place to really get me as quickly as possible because I'm always on there working with things. So definitely, I would love to do another one of these. If you ever feel the need to deep dive into any other aspect of our ecosystem, I'm more than happy to jump on a call with you here and do a live stream or do just a YouTube video, or to even just jump on a call with you off air, off recording, and just chop it up and really teach you about the ecosystem so you can go into it as part of a video for something else. So you're not stuck just doing one aspect of our ecosystem if you wanted to build that into a larger video. So any way you like, man, I'm always available to you. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing for the space. I wish you the best with everything. And thank you for having us from myself and the rest of the FEG team. I look forward to future collaborations.
Absolutely. RTR, just want to say that back. Yes to all of the offers that you mentioned. I think that actually those are far easier for me than diving in and doing a ton of research. I think most people on the channel know I'm not a full-time YouTuber, so it's really hard sometimes for me to carve out enough time. So if I can have someone that I know and trust like you jump on and help walk even me through some of the things you're building, that makes life a lot easier. So I'd love to take you up on that. And everyone in chat, there's hundreds of you. Give some love over to RTR. He did not have to spend this time. He chose to. And I think you really did move the needle forward for the community here on YouTube and elsewhere. And RTR, I appreciate you, the entire FEG team, what you guys are building, where you're going, the mission that you guys have, the community that you're instilling, all the right positive signals there. So all the love is pouring in. I really do appreciate you. For those of you that don't know, hit like and subscribe. Just Wes Spencer and Wes_Spencer if you want to reach me there, and would love to continue this. Give me some feedback just in terms of like what else you'd like to see us cover, questions or things we could jump into. There's certainly a lot of things, RTR, that you mentioned that I think are much more in depth, that deserve like their own focus. So I'd love to get into some of those things as well. But I won't take up anyone else's time other than this. We just want to say thank you, love to the entire community for watching today. Share this out with everybody. And RTR, one last time, take us out. Really appreciate you so much.
Thank you, brother. I just want to say thank you to everybody that showed up as well. And like I said, anytime, any place. It's my dad's birthday, so I'm here just hiding away in part of the house. Next time, I'll be happy to jump on camera with you. I apologize, I'm not at home in Texas with my entire setup. So I saw a couple questions asking why my my camera was off, but I just don't have a setup here. So we will talk soon, and
Next
I
time we'll make it
appreciate
right.
everything. I appreciate the community. Take care, everybody. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
everyone. Take care. Bye.